guys, welcome back to another video, and well, recently we talked about the Walking with Dinosaurs series that is coming out this year in 2025, and there's one pretty big issue in my opinion about the show. It's pretty much just a documentary about the Cretaceous with one extra scene taking place in the Jurassic okay, maybe there might be another one taking place in the Jurassic as well, but that last episode I'm highly doubting is going to be another Jurassic episode. It might just be another Cretaceous episode, which means we basically just have a documentary about the Cretaceous with one Jurassic segment. And at least from what I can find, I'm pretty sure the actual Triassic segment is just being cut. There is no Triassic segment going to be in the series, which is unfortunate, since the Triassic is already shown in media. It honestly would have been really nice to see here, but unfortunately, I guess we're not getting the Triassic segment. But anyways, I decided to rewrite the episodes. Pretty much just rewrite the times and locations and just get better species and stuff. But anyways, let's jump into this video. So, we start off in about latest Triassic period is the Glasgow Formation. Don't know if I mispronounced the name of the formation, sorry if I did, but anyways. With the main protagonist of the episode being an Eoraptor, which I could actually, there's another species which you could go with instead, but Eoraptor I think is going to be the one I'm going to go with in this episode as the main creature. And it's generally going to be following the day of an Eoraptor, but at the same time it's going to be following the day of a Herrerasaurus, which will change things up. In the original Walking with Dinosaurs, the Triassic segment mainly focused on Coelophysis, and well, also was showing off the life of a Postosuchus. But here we're going to be mainly showing off the life of two different dinosaurs in this formation. So we will still be able to show that there are many dinosaurs still around at this time, they're just not quite as big and not as successful as they're going to be soon. Anyways, the next creature, Ignatosaurus, which, again, sorry if I mispronounced that, I believe is a Silosaur. So I don't believe this is actually a true dinosaur. I could be wrong about that. And though it is, if it is a Silosaur, then I'm pretty sure Silosaurs have been theorized to possibly be early Ornithischians, but it's not 100% known at this time. But this guy would be cool to feature. It doesn't need to have too big of a role, but maybe we could have a scene. Anyways, now we have Silosuchus, which is an absolute, well, at least for its time and in this formation, an absolutely massive animal, which was most likely a herbivore, and I believe this guy is actually more closely related to crocodilians if I remember correctly. But yeah, this guy would be really cool, since I don't think this guy appears in any media except for maybe a Jurassic World the Game mod. I mean, not Jurassic World the Game, Jurassic World Evolution mod, but besides that, I don't think it really has appeared in media. It'd be really cool to see this guy get some attention in media. But anyways, the next creature is Hyprododon, at least I believe that's how it's pronounced. Sorry if I mispronounced some of these, but yeah, Hyprododon I believe is how it's pronounced. Honestly, I really like this creature, and it's in literally no paleo media except for this one documentary I believe made by PBS. It's 2D animated. But yeah, I think it'd be really cool to see this guy in more recent media, since this guy is just underrepresented and it's a really weird looking creature. Maybe it could kind of replace the Cynodonts in the original series. It kind of play a similar role to that, except maybe smaller. But yeah, I'd really like to see this guy in the series. Anyways, next is Protorotramsa, and yeah, this guy would also be pretty cool since it's kind of semi-aquatic, I believe, but it has really long legs. This guy would just be a pretty interesting creature to see in the documentary, alongside Palaerocephalus, since honestly, I don't think we're going to really have room for amphibians in the series, unfortunately. We won't be able to get a whole Coelophysis segment anymore, since again, we're not going to be able to focus on Coelophysis, at least in the episodes I have set up. And generally, this guy would be a good mini substitute, just to see short for at least, maybe it could be called back to the original Coelophysis a little bit, but who knows. Anyways, the next creature, Chanicodon, which I believe is a Cynodont. You can correct me in the comments if I'm wrong, but yeah, this guy would be pretty cool to see, since again, kind of try to include a mammal, or at least a mammal relative in most of these episodes, just to show that they're still present in the Mesozoic. And maybe I'll even do a Walking with Beast spin-off series concept video if you guys want me to do that. But anyways, next creature, Ischiguilacia, which will be a replacement for Placerius, and we get to see more Dicynodonts. I actually really badly wanted to have an episode take place in Triassic Poland and include Lusawicia and Schmock, but I decided to not go with that one, since there was not really too much fauna known from there, at least decently well known, so that was really obscure things and kind of smaller animals. And there's also not really any dinosaurs, excluding Schmock, which is debated if it's even a dinosaur. I would love to do an episode there, but I just don't think there's enough animals there to do it on there. So yeah, that's why I'm going to have to settle for this formation, since this formation I think has a really good roster of creatures that could be used in the episode. But I would really like to see more Cynodonts in media. Anyways, next creature, Saurosuchus, which I would also hope gets a pretty big role in this episode. And it's actually quite a bit larger than Postosuchus, and one of the largest kind of, I believe, Rajasuchians. And, yeah, generally I just really like to see this guy in media, and you guys might remember this guy and some other species from Dinosaur Revolution, since this is taking place in the same location and time. But, yeah, it'd be nice to see a more modern Triassic segment with these creatures. Too bad we're not getting that. Hopefully, Surviving Earth will have segments like that, and maybe even the other documentary coming out on, that's being made by the same people that made Life on Our Planet. Hopefully that documentary is better and has a Triassic segment. Anyways, next formation, which we are moving forward in time a little bit to the very end of the Triassic, and we are in the Westbury Formation, which this episode is kind of weird. I kind of put it a weird time and place since I wanted to do, I'm just going to say now, I kind of wanted to do an aquatic episode since there is no episode focused with marine life, and I kind of wanted to do it, and this was the only place I could kind of put it in, and it fits in naturally, and it focuses on a group of animals I really want to see depicted in media. Yet this formation is kind of lacking in species, and I'm going to move on to the first species, which is Ichthyotidon, a recently discovered giant ichthyosaur. And I was originally going to change it to Shonosaurus or Shastosaurus, but those guys are from formations that also have even less creatures. So I know there is this other large ichthyosaur. If I remember when I'm editing this video, I'll put it on the screen, and I'll put the formation as well, which actually has a way better roster of creatures, but it's much smaller than most of the other giant ichthyosaurs, so I decided to go with Ichthyotidon again since it's a more recent discovery and way larger. But maybe you may want to go with that formation instead, but I decided just to go with this one since this was an idea I really wanted to go with. But yeah, Ichthyotidon I would absolutely love to see in Paleomedian. It'd be also really nice to see maybe going through the life of an Ichthyotidon, though again, seeing that this roster has not too many creatures, it may be hard to do a episode focusing across the whole lifespan of an animal, but anyways, it'd be really cool just to see the life of these giant animals and also see them hunt, since we haven't really seen, for the longest time we thought that these giant ichthyosaurs would have mainly eaten squid and small things, but we recently found out that they were like actual apex predators, and we could probably see it hunt some things, though I don't know exactly what it'd be hunting. It'd be cool for them to explore that. Anyways, next creature, Lisodus, which is a prehistoric shark. Maybe this could be an issue for the juveniles, though I kind of doubt it since this guy was only like 1.5 feet long, and I doubt that baby Ichthyotidons were too small, at least comparing to modern whales. No, not the best comparison, but only thing I really have on the spot right now. But anyways, I don't know if these guys would be really much of a threat to a juvenile, but it would still be cool to see them. And kind of call back, and it's actually a relative of Hybotus, so we can kind of call back to Hybotus from there. But anyways, we have Pachystropheus, which, honestly, this guy would also be pretty cool to see, since I don't think we have any animal from this group of animals family really in media. Again, since it's a group of animals I believe is mostly from the Triassic, and Triassic barely in media. But yeah, it'd be pretty cool to see this early group of reptiles. Anyways, next creature, Saurichthes, which is a prehistoric fish. Kind of resembles a needlefish, actually. And it'd be pretty cool to see these guys. Don't know if they need to play too big of a role, but honestly could be a interesting second kind of creature you can follow every once in a while. Maybe see a shoal of them every once in a while. Anyways, we have ammonites, which ammonites are basically everywhere forever, pretty much. So ammonites are always a safe choice. Don't know if there's actually, I believe there are ammonites known from this formation, though. I could be wrong. Which, if there isn't, there still most likely were ammonites that lived there. You just have no fossil evidence of it. Anyways, the next creature is Camelosha. Which, okay, this land, I kind of did want them to at least feature land animals from this formation slightly. I don't really want it to be a second, like, kind of side plot for the episode. Just maybe, like, one segment focusing on it briefly. Also, it'll give us time to see a sauropodomorph. Maybe we could briefly see it, I don't know, foraging, and then maybe the other creature that I want to show next could walk past, or maybe they could get into a quick kind of, like, standoff for a second. But yeah, this segment doesn't need to be too long, so that's why these creatures are a little bit, it's going to be more important what I'm about to say to the next creature. It's kind of hard to pick species from this formation, because there are not too many species known from this formation. But this is one of, like, the only dinosaur with an actual name. Anyways, moving on to the next one, I don't think there actually are any specific theropod remains there, but though assuming that they're sauropodomorphs, I wouldn't be surprised if there was some sort of theropod there. And the only theropod I can find from anywhere kind of like a similar location and similar time is Sarcosaurus, though I don't know if that would be the best choice, since Sarcosaurus seems to have lived a little bit more in the early Jurassic. So don't know, it would be probably a stretch to include it. So maybe they should just keep this unnamed theropod as an unnamed theropod instead of going with Sargosaurus specifically. But again, it's just kind of showing it's going to be there shortly, so it doesn't really matter too much. But yeah, still wanted to mention it. And last but not least, Leocephalevia, which is a prehistoric dragonfly, which is not known from this exact formation, but is known from similar formations close by from about the same time. So I wouldn't be surprised if this animal lived here. Maybe it can break a brief cameo, even if it's just in the background, or possibly even see the land animals through the point of view of this animal. And yeah, maybe we can even see the Sauronectes actually hunt this guy, and that's how we can kind of have a transition, have it fly over the land where we can see the dinosaurs, then it flies over the water and gets eaten by the fish. But anyways, now we're going to the Cayente Formation in the early Jurassic of North America. And this is one I would like to include since this includes a certain animal that is very popular, but for the wrong reasons, and people that do know about the animal really would like to see in media, but it hasn't appeared in anything since the early 2000s. The only documentaries I believe this thing has appeared in is When Dinosaurs Roamed America, which was its only like really big, decent-sized appearance, and it actually took place in the same formation, and you're going to see a lot of the same species from here. And then I believe it also appeared in Prehistoric. So yeah, it hasn't really appeared in too many dinosaur documentaries, but it's Dilophosaurus. Honestly, Dilophosaurus needs a more modern appearance, and honestly, I'd love to see a more accurate Dilophosaurus, and so many things have changed since When Dinosaurs Roamed America came out. And even for When Dinosaurs Roamed America came out, it's pretty decent for the time, but Dilophosaurus a few years ago went through a lot of revisions and now looks very different and would have probably acted quite a bit different. So yeah, this guy would be pretty cool to see. Anyways, we have Scelidosaurus, which would be a nice armored dinosaur to see. Don't know, maybe not a secondary protagonist that you can kind of follow, but it would be cool at least to get a small cameo. Maybe we could have a Dilophosaurus try to eat it and it kind of just get shrugged off because of the armor. Anyways, we have Sierrasaurus, which is another creature that appeared in When Dinosaurs Roamed America, and it'd be nice to see this guy again with a more up-to-date design. And now we have Cayentovenator, which can be a smaller theropod. I decided to go with something besides Centarsus / Megapnosaurus / Coelophysis, that mess anyways. I decided to go with something besides that, and those guys could appear in this episode, but I decided to go with this guy since this guy has appeared in nothing pretty much. So yeah, and then next we have Rhomphinian, which is a pterosaur, and I don't think any pterosaurs appeared in When Dinosaurs Roamed America, at least in the Cayente Formation segment, but it'd be pretty cool to see this guy appear in this one, since I don't believe this guy's appeared in anything, since again this formation isn't covered much. But yeah, it doesn't need to have too crazy of a rule, just kind of a brief cameo would suffice. Anyways, we have Cayentotherium, which again, as I said, I kind of want to include a mammal each segment, except for the other episode, which again I forgot to include a mammal mainly because there's not really room for it, but here would work perfectly fine. Cayentotherium, just kind of a brief cameo as well. And then we also have Calceasuchus, which again just a crocodilian to make a brief cameo because I like crocodilians, and it'd just be nice to see this guy in media. And because especially since we have a distinct lack of prehistoric crocodilians, especially in more recent paleo media, which I just want to real quick mention, this doesn't really have anything to do with this, but if you want to watch a documentary on prehistoric crocodilians, I definitely recommend watching When Crocs Ate Dinosaurs. It has a good variety of species. But anyways, back to this, yeah. I think it'd be cool to see this guy in media. And then we also have Cayentochelis, a prehistoric turtle. Pretty nice, not too much. Maybe we can have a scene by a waterfall where we see the croc. The prehistoric croc kind of show off with Dilophosaurus for a second. Maybe it kind of snaps at it and it's trying to get a drink. And then since it's much smaller than Dilophosaurus, kind of just gets shrugged off. And then the turtle could just kind of be in the background. Or maybe it could be scavenged by Dilophosaurus or something like that. Anyways, next creature, Ceratodus, or Ceratodus, I think. Anyways, it's a type of lungfish, and at least I believe it's a lungfish, or at least a bony lobe-fin fish. But yeah, pretty cool. Again, could appear in the water segment. But anyways, moving on to, I believe, the last creature for this formation. Yeah, the last creature for this formation, Procellurus, which is a prehistoric frog, or at least a frog-like animal. And it'd be pretty cool to see this guy. Just a brief cameo. We don't get prehistoric frogs in media too often. Like, the only one we get is Beelzebufo, and even then, that's kind of every once in a while. Anyways, next formation, the Lorena Formation, which is actually a formation we are going to be seeing in the Walking with Dinosaurs series. In fact, this is the only Jurassic segment that we're getting in the Walking with Dinosaurs 2025 series. And I decided to go with this one again, since again, it's nice to get a break from the Morrison formation and we can go address Portugal instead. And I would like to note real fast that this episode or the other Jurassic episode, I suppose, could be swapped out for one of the formations in late Jurassic China, which I actually would really like to see in media. Though if we were to swap it out, I think I prefer to swap it out with this episode instead of the other one, since again, Dilophosaurus needs more depictions in media, and also it kind of flows better since it's early Jurassic than late Jurassic. It would make no sense to have 2 late Jurassic episodes. So yeah, early Jurassic and then late Jurassic episode we could do there, and maybe if you want me to, I can do a content for that too eventually in the future, but maybe if I do like a season 2 or something, I'll include that. But for now, I'm gonna stick with this formation since it is, I think this one's pretty nice, and also another formation from Dinosaur Revolution. So anyways, Lucetitan, which is a species we already have confirmed for this episode, and it's probably gonna just, honestly, I might as well just take the plot from the episode where it's gonna be finding a mate. We're just gonna stick with that. Anyways, Draconix, or Dracornix, yeah. Anyways, it's a small base ornithopod, and would be a pretty good addition, since I believe this guy appeared in, only really appeared in Dinosaur Revolution, of course, since that's the only other documentary I believe that has covered this formation, but, yeah. Anyways, Miragaia and or Dinosaurs. On one hand, I know a lot of people really would like to see Miragaia, but on the other hand, Dinosaurs is bigger, and I think I prefer it over Miragaia, so... Anyways, we could have both of them. Maybe have Miragaia in the background and Dinosaurs have an actual scene. Maybe, actually, I think I prefer to see a scene with Dinosaurs actually fighting against a theropod. Honestly, I would love to see that. And Miragaia could also maybe get a later scene, maybe not even fighting a theropod, maybe just kind of hanging out in the background every once in a while, and also just hanging out, maybe with some of the other herbivores. Or even we could have a scene of 2 Miragaias fighting over a mate. That'd be pretty cool. Honestly, don't really know. But Dinosaurus is the next species, and yeah, honestly, they kind of focused on Dinosaurs a lot in Dinosaur Revolution, and then Lucetitan was in the background. But this time it's going to be swapped around, but Dinosaurs mainly be in the background, and Lucetitan in the foreground. Maybe it could be even hunted by the apex predator of this formation. Next we have Zebi. Zebi did not appear in When Dinosaurs Roamed America. I mean, not When Dinosaurs Roamed America. Well, it didn't appear there either, but I meant to say Dinosaur Revolution, and it's a shame. Zebi is a wonderful creature. Zebi needs to appear in more paleomedia. Please, I just want to see Zebi. Hopefully it appears in the new Walking with Dinosaurs series. I'd love to see Zebi there. But anyways, Allosaurus European, sorry, I do not know how to pronounce it. European Allosaurus, we'll just go with that. Anyways, this is the smallest species of Allosaurus, and in North America, Allosaurus is pretty much the apex predator of the Morrison formation, while Torvosaurus is kind of the underdog in that formation. But it's kind of flopped around here, with Allosaurus being the smaller one and Torvosaurus being the larger apex predator. But before we get over to that, we have a Lucovinator, or Lucovinator. Anyways, this guy would be a nice smaller theropod, since I believe it's actually even smaller than the European species of Allosaurus. So yeah, this would be pretty cool to see. Anyways, next we have Torvosaurus itself, and this would be the main predatory dinosaur of the formation. And honestly, I think it would be cool if we had a scene of this guy facing off with Dinosaurs. I would absolutely love to see that. But yeah, this guy's probably this guy is like, it's almost pretty much like, it's almost impossible that they're going to cover this formation and not include this guy. So Torvosaurus will probably be in the new Walking with Dinosaurs series, and it already got a pretty big role in Dinosaur Revolution, since it was also featured there as the main apex predator. Anyways, we have Lucignathus, which could be a nice pterosaur this season. We don't see Jurassic pterosaurs in the media too often, mainly because in the Morrison there's not really too many options, and that's usually where these episodes are usually set. But here, it'd be nice to see Lucignathus. And then we also have Haldanodon. Again, another mammal. We can still see that they're thriving and doing very well during the Mesozoic. But yeah, not too much to say about this guy. And then another species we have is Celtidans, which I believe is a prehistoric lizard, and again, doesn't need to have too big of a role, but we could probably see it just in the background, maybe even be hunted by a smaller theropod or something, or just kind of hanging out. But yeah, anyways, the last species we have is Ophiuchus, which would be a nice crocodilian, maybe featured by a watering hole or something like that. And this guy was actually more recently discovered, I believe. I think it was only described 1 or 2 years ago, maybe even 3 years ago. But yeah, this guy is a little bit more recent. But yeah, this would be pretty cool to see in this dinosaur documentary. It might even appear in this one, since honestly I don't see why it wouldn't. But anyways, we have the Cedar Mountain formation, which is another formation that is going to be appearing in this episode. I just wanted to say now that this formation and the next formation are formations that are already going to appear in the new Walking with Dinosaurs series, and I decided to just reuse them since I thought that they would work nice. And the last one is kind of similar to one that's going to be appearing, but I did change it up a little bit since I'm tired of seeing that place. You'll see what I'm talking about when we get there. But anyways, we're going to still be focusing, well, we actually don't know what dinosaur they're focusing on, but we know it's either Utahraptor or Gastonia, but I'm assuming it's going to be Utahraptor, but in this one, we're just going to be focusing on Utahraptor, and it's going to have the original Walking with Dinosaurs coloration because I wanted to. Honestly, it'd be nice if they could. I think they confirmed, at least for the T-Rex, they're not going to be using the original colors, which sucks. I really wish that they would have at least kept the original colors with updated designs. I think that would have been really nice, at least to pay homage to the original designs. But anyways, we have Utahraptor. Next, we also, the animal I just talked about, Gastonia, which, again, maybe it could be a secondary animal that is followed throughout the episode, just to give the perspective of a carnivore and a herbivore. But, yeah, Gastonia would be pretty nice to see. Now we have Fauna, which is a smaller ornithopod, which would be pretty cool to see in this formation. And, it wouldn't play too crazy of a role, but I think could definitely appear every now and then. Now we have Tenontosaurus, which we could actually have a scene between this guy and Deinonychus, which actually apparently also lived in this formation. And I originally actually was going to put Hippodraco in here, but then I realized Tenontosaurus is from this formation, and I feel like it's a crime not to put Tenontosaurus in here. So sorry, Hippodraco. Maybe it could appear as a background animal as well, but Tenontosaurus, I guess, is the one that's going to be here for now. Anyways, we have Iguana Colossus, which, honestly, I always was fascinated by this animal since it was, like, always Iguanodon but bigger. So it'd be kind of cool to see this guy. Maybe we can even see some Utahraptors kind of wander by it and not attack it, because it would be kind of weird to attack an animal this large, just kind of pass it by. And just, maybe we could even have it hunted by one of the larger theropods, which we'll get to in a minute. Now we have Brontomerus, which is a decent-sized sauropod. I believe Astrodon is also from here, but I don't know why I didn't put Astrodon in here, but Astrodon could also be another sauropod if you don't want this guy in here. But this guy could, of course, could be more of a background animal, could maybe have one significant scene, or also could be hunted by one of the large carnivores of the formation. And then next we have Deinonychus. Maybe we could have a scene with Tenontosaurus showing off. We could even have a little bit more into the life of Deinonychus, since Deinonychus is kind of debated if it would have actually lived with other Deinonychus, or if it was a solitary animal or a semi-solitary animal. It's really debated with Deinonychus. Maybe they could go into that a little bit. But anyways, now we have the two large theropods. We could have Acrocanthosaurus or Seats. I originally had Acrocanthosaurus in here, but then I realized Seats was from this formation, and I have no idea which one to go with. We could go with both technically, but I feel like it could get a bit cluttered. Maybe at the very least we could go with one of them and then have the other one kind of just in the background and not really have too much of a role, but I feel like that's no fun. So honestly, comment down below which one you prefer to see, Acrocanthosaurus or Seats. On one hand, Acrocanthosaurus, I actually got a comment recently, someone talking about this, how Acrocanthosaurus has had basically no appearance in more recent media, which I agree is definitely a shame. But also, Seats barely has any appearances at all, so I honestly have no idea. Which one would you guys prefer? I think I'm leaning slightly towards Seats, but then I lean back towards Acrocanthosaurus. I have no idea. Anyways, moving on to the next one, Falcarius, which I believe is actually a basal therizinosaur. I could be wrong. And unfortunately, I actually don't have any other therizinosaurs in this episode, but Falcarius, in this series, actually, I didn't really shove any more in here, but Falcarius, I guess, could be the only one. And then we also have Moros, which I don't think needs to have too much of a role, just kind of to show what's coming up soon. Maybe it could appear closer to the end of the episode, and maybe they could have one scene kind of focusing on how it's more intelligent than the dromaeosaurs, and that this may be leading towards something. Cough, cough, T-Rex. Anyways, now we have this creature, which is Toxilophosaurus, which, what in the world is this thing? It sounds like some sort of hybrid, or like, honestly, this just sounds like what the Jurassic Park Dilophosaurus should be called. Toxilophosaurus sounds about right, since that thing is not a Dilophosaurus, but I'm getting off track anyways. Just a small lizard, just needs to appear kind of shortly, just to flesh out the roster a little bit. Or actually, I don't know if this is actually a lizard or if it's a Tuatara relative, since Tuatars are not actual lizards, but yeah. Anyways, now we have Glyptops, which is a turtle. Doesn't need too big of a role either, just kind of a small scene. Possibly even have a scene of maybe this guy, or at least in one of the other episodes, have the turtles maybe laying eggs in a nest. That would be kind of cool, just to kind of take a side note from the dinosaurs. But anyways, I believe this is the last creature for this episode, which is Astroconodon, which is a small mammal. Again, just want to feature mammals throughout the series. Maybe this could be hunted by something like Moros or Dinodicus. But anyways, now we're moving on to the Kem Kem beds, which is another place which is going to be focused on in the new Walking with Dinosaurs series. Again, decided to include it since I think that this is actually a nice location. First, we have Spinosaurus, which is probably going to be, actually, I'm pretty sure is the main focus of the Walking with Dinosaurs episode. So just adding it in here to be the main focus of this episode makes sense. And I know some people said that it would be better if they picked another species, which I semi-agree with, but I think that Spinosaurus might actually work very well. The only other one I can think that might work better is a pterosaur. But the reason why I do think I would prefer to go with this being Spinosaurus, since again we don't have any more recent documentaries with Spinosaurus besides Surviving Earth, but that Surviving Earth hasn't even released yet, so I don't think that I really am going to count that. So I just generally want to see Spinosaurus. Again, it's a popular animal, be pretty cool to see, but also because it can kind of go from the land and the water somewhat kind of debatedly anyways. We could see the marine life of this ecosystem alongside the land animals as well. So yeah, we could also go again with a pterosaur like a Lanqua or Unhungware, which will appear later on. And this episode could be focused on them because I think they actually might do an even better job showing off all the fauna of this formation, or at least geological area. But I already have another episode in which I have focused on a pterosaur, so we're just going to have Spinosaurus be the main dinosaur in this one. But again, Spinosaurus would be great to see in this documentary. Next is Carcharodontosaurus. Please, please, please. Honestly, I would actually be happy with this being the secondary main focus for this episode, because Carcharodontosaurus has been being completely neglected from dinosaur media, at least documentary-wise, for so long. There's a literal documentary called Lost Dinosaurs of Egypt, and I was like, oh, it has Carcharodontosaurus, pretty cool. Carcharodontosaurus had about 3 seconds of screen time, and half of that was like reused footage. Carcharodontosaurus is barely in there, and I'd really love to see it in a more recent dinosaur documentary with a more up-to-date design. Anyways, we have Rabachisaurus, which I know some people will be really happy to see. And, yeah, Rabachisaurus would just be a nice sauropod to see, and maybe even be one of them, oh, actually, I don't know if Rabachisaurus would actually make sense to be a main focus of the episode, since the other sauropod, Titan, is a much larger animal, and I think would be kind of interesting to see how this guy interacted with its ecosystem, and maybe even have a scene of it trying to fight off a pair of Carcharodontosaurids, which won't be really pack hunter, it'll be more mobbing behavior, since, again, we do have some evidence that Mapusaurus may have partaken in mobbing or pack hunting behavior, though, again, that's not really conclusive. And I know that doesn't automatically mean Carcharodontosaurus would have done the same thing, but be some fun speculation, especially if they stick with more mobbing behavior and do not go with pack hunting. But anyways, Titan, love to see it. Anyways, we have Stomatosuchus, which honestly is a large prehistoric, at least croc relative, I believe. I don't know if it's a true crocodilian, but yeah. Unfortunately, no Sarcosuchus. Sarcosuchus was extinct by the time this episode will be taking place, so Stomatosuchus is going to have to come in. But it's still nice to see this guy, since this guy is a pretty unique animal. And quick side note, the image I'm using for Stomatosuchus is a PNSO image. Can PNSO just make this into a figure? Just keep the same exact position and this exact color scheme? I think this would be like the best PNSO figure ever. I would just really love to see this thing exist. PNSO, please make this into a figure. Anyway, back to the actual episode. Be pretty cool to see this guy. And now we have Anatosuchus, I believe is how it's pronounced. There is a plethora of small crocodilians, which again, go watch When Crocs Ate Dinosaurs, since they actually feature a lot of creatures from this formation. And this is one of them, and this is one of my favorite ones, just because it looks so weird. It'd be pretty cool to see this guy and just see it interact with its environment, even if it's just for a short scene. And then we have Masonia, which is a giant coelacanth, and maybe we could have a scene of it being hunted by Spinosaurus. Either this guy or this other prehistoric fish, Oncopriscus, which was a giant prehistoric sawfish. Moving on, we have Liptoclidus, which I would really hope gets a small segment, since it is one of the few freshwater plesiosaurs, at least that I know of, and it's definitely the smallest of the, one of the smallest marine reptiles, at least plesiosaur-wise. It was a pretty unique animal, and I would absolutely love to see this guy in a documentary. Anyways, next we have a Lanqua, which, again, nice to see some pterosaurs in this formation, and there are, a whole plethora of pterosaurs from this area. and I did not include them all. I just put 2 for as examples, but we could have even more than just Elanqua, which again, a nice as Darkid, and Unhunguera, which if we're going to focus on one of these more, I prefer Unhunguera since I have another as Darkid, which is kind of hints what the next episode I believe is going to be about. But anyways, Unhunguera, pretty good. Anyways, now we're not going to the Head Creek Formation, which is where we're most likely going for the next Walking with Dinosaurs episode, and where we're going every single time. We're going to Hex Lake this time. Why? Because I would like to focus on some slightly different animals, since, again, I know T-Rex Triceratops, super famous, always has to be in the documentary, but I'd like to switch things up at least slightly. First, we're going to have Quetzalcoatlus northropi in this as the main focus of the episode. Starting off as a juvenile, and we're going to go through the whole life of the animal. And something interesting we're also going to see is that we're going to have the other species of Quetzalcoatlus lawsoni, which is the smaller species, which only got a little bit taller than a human. This guy would also be pretty cool to see, and we could probably see the juveniles interact with the Quetzalcoatlus lawsoni, the other species. Anyways, first we have Tyrannosaurus macrances, which I wanted to at least switch this up because we always see T-Rex and everything. I would like to see the other species of T-Rex, which has been in pretty much nothing so far. And this, again, also with the original Walking with Dinosaurs colorations, this one actually has more of an excuse to have different colorations since, again, it's a different species of Tyrannosaurus. But, anyways, again, I just really think it'd be nice to see this creature in media somewhat. And again, also not be the main focus, but probably get some significant scenes. Now we have Alamosaurus, which kind of both does and doesn't appear in dinosaur documentaries. Whenever they just honestly have Alamosaurus, they have a sauropod in the background in these formations and just like, oh, it's Alamosaurus, technically, but it gets literally no recognition. Why Alamosaurus? I hope it gets an actual significant scene in this episode, and maybe even see the T-Rex composite, but not even try to attack it, because why would a T-Rex try to attack one of these massive giants? It'd be pretty much impossible for a T-Rex to take one of these things down unless it was young or like very injured or sick. Anyways, now we have Triceratops and or Torosaurus. Why? Because I personally, I don't know exactly how to go with this since Triceratops has not really appeared in Walking with Dinosaurs. Technically, it did appear in the original Walking with Dinosaurs series, but as a carcass, and Torosaurus got main scenes, so you would think you maybe want to change things up with Triceratops. But I think I'd actually prefer to see Torosaurus, or at least both of them, since Torosaurus basically appears in nothing. Though we'd be seeing Torosaurus again in the Walking With franchise, I'd still rather see it again with a more up-to-date design instead of seeing Triceratops for the 1,000,000th time across 30 different thousand documentaries. So I'd prefer to see Torosaurus a lot. So that's also why I picked this formation, since Torosaurus I think is a little bit better known from this formation than in the other formations. But yeah, maybe we could even have a scene of two of these animals facing off. But yeah. Anyways, next we have some ones I had to kind of stretch a little bit since they're technically not known from here. Technically, actually, Quetzalcoatlus, both species, I don't think are actually technically known from this formation. They're known from a little bit further south in Texas, but I don't see it to be too unreasonable to assume that they could have gone up there, especially since we see them up further north in most other dinosaur documentaries. They're just thrown in there with T-Rex all the time, so I don't see why they couldn't end up going down go to a place that's even less south. I mean, not as far north as the other species of Tyrannosaurus, so why not have Quetzalcoatlus come here? Anyways, these species are also known from a little bit further north, but I don't see it being too unreasonable for them to possibly have lived here as well. Well, first we have Ankylosaurus, which, again, maybe not Ankylosaurus specifically, but at least some sort of Ankylosaur most likely lived here. And I believe there are remains of some sort of Ankylosaur from here. I could be wrong about that, but I don't think specifically Ankylosaurus, but maybe Ankylosaurus lived here as well, so possibly. Anyways, we also have Edmontosaurus, which, Edmontosaurus lived like everywhere, so I wouldn't be surprised if it lived here as well. And also, there are remains of Hadrosaurs, though I don't think it's specifically Edmontosaurus itself. Okay, I know I didn't flesh this formation out as much as the other ones, which I got like all the other ones specific species, but I generally just couldn't find things specifically from here, and I'd really be pulling a lot of things from kind of outside formations. But one I got, we could probably get some mammals, some fish, maybe even some invertebrates as well, but the only one I really have listed here is Crocodilian. Some sort of just unnamed Crocodilian or one from a surrounding formation I think would work very well. And then last but not least, we have Compsognathus, which is a prehistoric turtle. I guess I like turtles a lot since I put them in so many of these places. But yeah, this just be a nice creature just to kind of round off the list. And yeah, those are all my Walking with Dinosaurs somewhat rewritten. What are your guys' opinion on these? Would you change anything? Comment down below what your list of episodes would be. Also, I would like to note, my version, even though I didn't make any slides for it, there is 100% a behind-the-scenes episode, and it's going to be like the original Walking with Dinosaurs behind-the-scenes episodes. If you have not seen them, go watch them. They're some of the greatest behind-the-scenes media you will ever see. They're just really fun, and I think it'd be really nice to see something like that. Also, I gave names to all these. Names to all these episodes. I just didn't list them because I kind of forgot that I even gave names to these until like halfway through recording and be kind of throwing off the flow to go back and rename them. So I'm just gonna list them off here. So the names go. Episode 1, New Reptilian Blood, since it's kind of tied back to the original Walking with Dinosaurs episode, New Blood, except it's to change it to New Reptilian Blood, for no reason, really. Anyways, next episode is Titans of the Sea, since it kind of calls back to Times of Titans, or Giants of... I can't actually remember what the Diplodocus episode of Walking with Dinosaurs was, but it was the second episode, and I know they formulated like that, kind of moved a little bit more smoothly. But moving from dinosaurs to marine reptiles back to dinosaurs was kind of a poor choice in my opinion for me to do, but it was the only way I could really fit the marine reptiles in. So yeah. Anyways, the episode after that, episode 3 is Cruel Crested Killer. Kind of the episode Cruel Sea, except we can have it for Dilophosaurus. I know a little bit of intense of a name, but I think it'd still be a pretty cool episode. Anyways, next. Raptors in Action. I know this is not some sort of like twist on Giants of the Sky and or the episode. Okay, kind of weird how it kind of came about how I got these episodes' names. Wait, did I forget? Okay, sorry about this. I completely forgot about the episode taking place in Jurassic Portugal. Sorry about that. That episode I forgot to mention. Its name is Giants of the Jurassic. Kind of tied to episode Giants of the Sky. Anyways, I don't have any episode that is kind of tied to Spirits of the Ice Forest, since I didn't think of any good names that kind of worked with that. Anyways, the episode taking place in the Cedar Mountain Formation focused on Utahraptor. I'm going to call that episode Raptors in Action, since there is a Walking With song from Chased by Dinosaurs with the scenes with the Velociraptor. The song is called Raptors in Action, and I think it'd be cool kind of to have it be tied to that. Anyways, we're also having the episode take place in the Kem Kem beds. We're going to call it the Egyptian Pharaoh, even though that name makes no sense since we're in Morocco, not Egypt, but it's Spinosaurus. Oh well. Probably could have came up with a better name for that one. But anyways, the last episode, Death of the Tyrant Dynasty, which I kind of named it that since we're going to mainly be focusing on Quetzalcoatlus, and this is also going to be later in the Cretaceous, though this episode is kind of weird since the timing of this episode to get Tyrannosaurus macranthus in here is weird, since macranthus may have came before T-Rex, which would mean this cannot take place at the very end of the Cretaceous, unless that species T-Rex split off from that species and it still did survive till the end of the Cretaceous. Again, I would not actually be too fussed with not having the KPG extinction in it. I'd actually be perfectly fine without including that in the episode. But still, that name still kind of works, since, again, we're going to be focusing on Quetzalcoatlus instead of the Tyrant of the Formation. But anyways, sorry this end part is really messy, or just this whole video is kind of messy, but anyways, comment down below what episode, what series, what episode names and things you plan on doing, like what you would recast the episodes as. Do you just like the episodes we already are getting? Would you prefer different ones? Just comment down below. Anyways, I will see you guys in the next one, and goodbye!